Manny Pacquiao was the nobody's nobody.
Professor Alex Magno.
He comes from the poorest of families, raised by a single mother, from the farthest corner of the country. Made his way into boxing, basically as a means of, addressing his financial needs. Became incredibly rich by any Filipino standard. He's the male Cinderella. The ugly duckling who's wearing diamonds around his neck. He holds out that eternal promise. The last will be first. The poor will be saved.
I'm Mike Costello, and you're listening to the story of Manny Pacquiao on the BBC World Service. Filipinos seem to relate to Pacquiao because his story reflects the experiences of so many of them. A third of the people here live on just $1 a day, which is just as it was for Manny growing up in General Santos, a city in the southern island of Mindanao, where many people live in homemade shacks.
When I was young, we were really went in poor poverty. We don't have home, we don't have land, we don't have a place to stay. We just live from our relatives' place, and that's where we suffered being poor. And then we work hard. We keep dreaming. I keep dreaming and live honestly and have faith in God.
To survive on the streets, he sold donuts for just a few pesos in order to feed himself and his family. And in a house where the father was largely absent, Manny felt it was up to him to provide for their needs.
We grew up together. Same story, broken family. Same big heart, just like Manny.
In those days back in General Santos, Buboy Fernandez was Manny's best friend when their lives depended on selling those donuts. And today he's a central figure in the training camp and remains an important part of Manny's life. What were your houses like at that time when you were young children?
I cry. I sleep with a small box carton. If the water get high tide, my home's gone. This is the water here, and then we sleep to the trees.
In General Santos, when you were selling donuts, what did you do with the money?
Buy rice.
How much would you earn each day?
Sometimes you get 20 pesos, 30 pesos. You're so very happy.
Which will be what?
50 cents.
So you earn 50 cents in a whole day?
Yeah. So hard. And then one family ate for that small rice.
So you fed a whole family on 50 cents every day?
Yeah.
So do you think that was why Manny was so small and so light for so long in his career?
Yeah.
Back then, Buboy says Manny was already thinking about being a professional boxer.
One time, we stand together to the street, Manny thinking for dreaming, that he said, someday if I'm going to be a champion, and then if I succeed my career, I come back here and then I bring you. Just like story like a kid's, just dreaming.
Just dreaming, indeed. And so the story was only just beginning. Here's Joaquin Henson.
He was getting bullied in the streets, and so I guess he realized that he could hit back. And in the provinces, there are usually these amateur boxing festivals that are very popular fare during town fiestas. They invite kids to get in the ring and show their wares. And Manny was introduced to boxing that way when he started boxing in the streets of General Santos, trying to eke out a living, put more food on the table, so to speak. There was a call that came from Manila asking a talent scout in General Santos to bring over some teenaged boxing prospects over to Manila so that they could be honed. And Manny was with 9 other fighters. He was brought over to a gym in Sampaloc, which Manny now owns. But in that dank atmosphere, in that gym, Manny trained hard, worked his butt out, and he slept in the ring, smelling the sweat and blood and tears that were shed in that same ring. He had no pillow, he had no blanket, but that's where he slept.
I was remember that story. You know, I talked to my mom. Mom, I'm going to the other place, but she doesn't know that I'm going to Manila. Because if I'm gonna tell her where I'm going, he's not gonna.
She would cry.
Yeah. But I sent to my mom. Mom, I'm here in Manila. I'm sorry for lying to you, but I'm doing this because I want to help you. I'm doing good here. I'm working hard in boxing and work.
Dito, tindahan, tatlong tindahan. Dito yung mag-left side kayo pagpasok.
Well, we've just passed through the security checkpoint at a residential complex in Cainta next to metropolitan Manila. And our journey here has taken us to see a man who was responsible for the nurturing of Manny Pacquiao when he was a young professional boxer, when he first came to Manila. And this is one of the most fascinating aspects of Manny's story for me. And we're going to find out more now from one of the first coaches he ever met up with, Angeles Alberto. Angeles Alberto is a very elderly gentleman, and as I enter his house, his family pick him up from a daybed and place him in his wheelchair. He's very frail, but there's still a sparkle in his eyes that makes me certain he was a sprightly and positive influence on a young Manny. Angeles, what do you remember of Manny Pacquiao, the 14-year-old youngster that you first came across all those years ago?
Manny approached him and he was curious. Okay, let me see. Let me see how good you are. And he saw that Manny was good, so he trained Manny.
So how long did it take before Manny was good enough to box in competition?
Manny was just 17 years old when he had his first fight, but legally he has to be 18 to be able to fight. So he cheated on Manny's age to get his first fight because he's really interested and he really wants to fight. They were saying, they quoted Manny, Tang, that's like father, Dad, I want to fight.
How much did Manny earn for his first fight?
Yeah, they're paying 400 per round.
So that's less than $10. Was he ready to quit boxing because he was losing at one stage in the early days?
He told Manny, if you quit, what will happen to your life? If you quit early, you're just Manny. But if you progress, you'll be a world champion.
How do you feel when you're watching Manny in these big title fights now? Do you get nervous? Is it almost like watching one of your sons in action?
Of course, I'm proud, and it's as if he himself is fighting. He puts himself in Manny's shoes.
Okay, so Angeles, where do you believe Manny ranks in the list of all-time great boxers?
Anong rango po ni Manny? Anong rango niya?
Number one.
Yeah, without any command of Tagalog, I think I understood that one. Angeles, thank you very much for your time, and it's been a privilege. Manny himself will never forget those early days and is determined now to live his life as an example and an inspiration to others.
You know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, with the great power comes great responsibility. You have to balance that. You have a power, God gave it to you, and you have a great responsibility. It is you take care of yourself and to serve people and to be a good public servant.
In May this year, Manny Pacquiao took on a new fight and became a congressman. He was elected to represent his home province of Sarangani. Unusually in politics, no one speaks out against him. Dissenting voices are very difficult to find, and it seems at this stage at least he's above criticism. Pacquiao's ambitions are now divided between the ring and Congress. And in the next programme I'll be finding out about his move into politics and hearing that he might be punching above his weight.
Mr. Pacquiao is very popular, but he's not very popular because of his brains. You need a very cool head. Now, he's got a warm heart. I don't know whether his head is hard or soft. I wish him all the best, but I am certainly not going to forgive him any mistakes that he makes.
And back at the training gym in Baguio City, I'll spend more time with Pacquiao himself and hear concerns that his boxing days could soon be over.
Manny came up to me and he said, I miss my job. And I looked at him and I says, you're at your job. He says, no, I miss Congress. And I said, you know what? we're going to lose him to politics for sure, someday soon.
The Friday documentary was presented by Mike Costello, produced by Lyndon Saunders, and was an all-out production for BBC World Service.